Have you ever had a moment where you looked at your life and thought, was this all meant to happen exactly this way? Maybe you missed a train that led to meeting someone who changed your world. Or maybe despite doing everything right, something still went wrong and you asked, did I ever really have a choice? These questions are as old as time. For centuries, philosophers, scientists, spiritual leaders, and ordinary people have all wrestled with one haunting question. Are our lives truly in our control, or are we simply playing out a script we never wrote? In this video, we're going to explore 4 powerful frameworks that attempt to answer this question: determinism, predeterminism, fatalism, and the lesser-known but fascinating ancient Indian school of thought called the Ajivikas. These concepts might sound similar at first, but they offer subtly different and sometimes radically different ways of seeing the world. To make it real, we'll explore modern examples, historical background, and even what cutting-edge science has to say about free will, consciousness, and fate. So let's start with determinism. Determinism is the belief that everything that happens is the inevitable result of previous events, an unbroken chain of cause and effect. Think of it like dominoes falling. If you knew the position and motion of every domino, you could predict exactly how they'd fall. In the same way, determinism suggests that everything about your life, what you choose for lunch, how you respond to criticism, or even the way you tie your shoes, is shaped by what came before. Your biology, your environment, your memories, your trauma, your culture, even your hormones. A good example? Let's say someone yells at a coworker. On the surface it looks like a choice, but peel back the layers, maybe they slept badly, were raised in a home where yelling was normal, or their blood sugar was crashing. According to determinism, that outburst wasn't a random decision, it was the outcome of thousands of prior causes, stretching back years. This idea isn't just philosophy, it's grounded in science too. In the 1980s, neuroscientist Benjamin Libet ran experiments showing that brain activity called the readiness potential could be detected a few hundred milliseconds before participants were even consciously aware of deciding to move. In other words, your brain may be planning your actions before you decide to act. These findings shook the world of neuroscience. Some interpreted them to mean that free will is an illusion, that our sense of control is just a story our minds tell after the fact. Others argued that the brain may prepare actions, but consciousness still plays a role in shaping or vetoing them. This debate continues today. Determinism also has support from psychology. If you've ever read about cognitive biases, like confirmation bias, loss aversion, or social conditioning, you know that our thinking is often shaped more by unconscious patterns than by conscious reasoning. Even trauma reshapes the brain's response to threat, often causing reactive behavior that feels automatic, not chosen. And yet, we still feel like we choose. So what gives? Let's go deeper with predeterminism. Predeterminism is determinism taken to the extreme. Predeterminism argues that not only is every event caused by previous ones, but that the entire chain was already laid out from the beginning of time. In a sense, the universe is like a massive, unchanging movie reel. You're not choosing what happens, you're simply watching the film unfold. This idea can be found in both religious and scientific contexts. In some forms of theism, for example, it's believed that God already knows every action, thought, and consequence in your life, that your path is foreseen, even if you don't know it. Similarly, Laplace's demon, a thought experiment by 18th century scientist Pierre-Simon Laplace, imagines a super-intelligent being that knows the position and momentum of every atom in the universe. Given that knowledge, the demon could theoretically predict everything that will ever happen. This view removes all uncertainty from the world. But here comes a curveball: quantum physics. Unlike classical physics, where everything is predictable, quantum mechanics shows that at the smallest levels of reality, particles behave probabilistically. Electrons don't have definite positions until observed. Outcomes can't always be predicted. This randomness introduces what some scientists call quantum indeterminacy, which may challenge the idea of a completely predetermined universe. While it doesn't prove free will, it at least shows that the universe isn't as clockwork as we once thought. Still, not all randomness equals choice. Just because some events are unpredictable doesn't mean they're willed. So, where does this leave us? Let's look at fatalism, a different but often confused idea. Fatalism says that no matter what you do, the outcome is destined to happen. It doesn't rely on cause and effect like determinism or predeterminism. Instead, it's more about inevitability. If you're meant to become a teacher, for instance, you'll become one. even if you try to avoid it by studying engineering, joining the military, or moving to a different country. The story ends the same way. Fatalism is everywhere in myth and literature. Oedipus, the tragic Greek hero, is fated to kill his father and marry his mother, even though everyone tries to avoid it. In modern times, think of Harry Potter, who is destined to face Voldemort no matter how many choices he makes. The entire idea of prophecy, destiny, and meant to be comes from fatalistic thinking. Fatalism can sound depressing, like why try at all if the ending is already set? But some ancient traditions found comfort in it. The Stoics, for example, believed that fate governs what happens to us, but we control our response. You may not control the waves, but you can learn to sail. This is echoed in Eastern thought too. Karma is sometimes misinterpreted as fatalism, but most traditions say karma influences, not determines, our future. That distinction between influence and certainty is key. Fatalism taken too far can lead to passivity, but tempered with awareness it can bring peace, accepting what you cannot change and focusing on your reaction instead. And now, for a truly unique view, we go to ancient India, to the school of the Ajivikas. The Ajivikas were a now extinct group of philosophers who lived around the same time as the Buddha and Mahavira. Their beliefs were radical even by ancient standards. The Ajivikas believed in absolute determinism through a force called niyati, fate. According to them, everything in your life, your birth, pain, enlightenment, death, is completely fixed. They rejected the entire doctrine of karma. They believed no effort, meditation, moral act, or spiritual path could change your destiny, not even liberation from the cycle of rebirth. Understandably, the Ajivikas were controversial. Buddhists and Jains criticized them heavily, and yet they attracted many followers. Why? Because there was a strange kind of liberation in letting go. If everything was already written, there was no need for shame, blame, or pride. You weren't better or worse than anyone else. Everyone was on their script. The Ajivikas faded from history, but their ideas still echo today, in simulation theory, nihilism, and extreme forms of fatalism. In some ways they were early voices in the debate over whether we're truly in charge, or just passengers. So, now comes the big question, what about free will? Do we have any, or is it all illusion? Many philosophers today embrace compatibilism, the idea that free will and determinism can coexist. You didn't choose to be born in a certain family, country, or body. You didn't choose your early experiences, but within those constraints, you can reflect, choose, and grow. Neuroscientist Sam Harris, though a determinist, still believes we should live ethically, because we are part of the causes that shape the future. In other words, your choice matters, even if it was caused. That might sound paradoxical, but it's how many of us already live. We acknowledge our traumas, triggers, and habits, but we also believe we can change, grow, and heal. That belief itself can be empowering. Real-life examples abound. A person born into poverty may still rise through education and community support. Someone with trauma may still seek therapy, develop self-awareness, and choose compassion. Their path wasn't easy, but it wasn't fixed either. Even if our will isn't free, it can still be intentional. It can still be creative. So where does this leave us? With humility and hope. Maybe we don't control everything. Maybe some events are random and others are scripted, but we do control how we show up. Whether you believe in destiny or not, your love, your courage, your kindness, they matter. Because how you live the story may be just as important as who wrote it. And maybe the answer to, is everything already decided, isn't yes or no, but a deeper invitation. To live as if your choices still shape the world, because in so many ways, they do.